Hey, Scott. Thank you for that introduction. And hello, my friend Jamie. How are you?
Andy, Scott,
Good.
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Here we are at the end of another week. Boy, they're going
Yes.
quick.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And guys, thank you so much for coming to the webinar today. And I think I have a little treat for you at the end. So yeah, I try to do this most of the time. It's kind of hard to come up with new parting gifts every week, but I have one for you today. You're welcome, Waleed. Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. Let's get on to, I think I have a different new slide in here, but after the disclaimer. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the disclaimer first, guys. Anything that you hear or see today, guys, can be considered educational content. Okay, this is not something that should be construed as investment advice. If that's what you're seeking, please look for a registered advisor, a broker, somebody who's licensed in that capacity. And the slide I was referring to is a slide you're not going to want to miss. Okay, we have our new Trade Ideas Summit in 2018 coming up in October in beautiful San Diego, California. All right, we got some incredible speakers this year. You can see them there on the right. Brian Shannon, Dr. Brett Steinbarger, JC Peretz. So we and there's other ones behind it. We don't even have room to fit them all on here, guys. It's going to be a great event. If you want to learn more, get your tickets while they're cheap, okay? And you can find out more information at Trade Ideas event.com. There you go, Trade Ideas event.com, right there at the bottom, guys. Look at it, take a look at it, get your tickets early. All right. Before we move on, guys, I have to go through our 5-star support, education, and training because it's something we are so proud of here at Trade Ideas because we realize the software can be a little bit intimidating for some people. It is powerful, but you're going to find out with all our help how intuitive it can be and how fast that you can really learn it and put it to work for you. We have webinars throughout the week, Monday through Thursday, all at 5 p.m. time slot. Monday, you got Jamie and Steve. Tuesday, you got me and Steve. We throw a treat on Wednesday with our CEO, Dan Merkin, and CTO, Brad Williams. A great little Q&A and demo webinar. And then, of course, we have Trading Studio now with me and Jamie. And let's not forget the Traders Room with Barry. All right, I know most of you people in here have been to the Trading Room. If you haven't, you need to get in there. It's free for everyone. It's a great place. Over 500 traders. You can come in and see our software in action and watch and listen to Barry fire off trades using our software. And then tomorrow, Friday support session. We do this every Friday at 11 Eastern time. It's a come one, come all Q&A. So if you do not get all your stuff answered during the week, come on into that Friday support session and ask our questions, and we'll have us all in there and answer them for you. TI University, we're not stopping with that, guys. We have what's called TI University. We started a few months ago, and it's been getting a incredible response. You got Beginners 101 on Monday, and we graduate each day until we finish out on Thursday. Jamie finished up today with the Advanced 401, all right? Guys, you have to register for this. So when you get the product, you want to go in and make sure you register for that. You can find this on our training page on our website. And you probably get an invite once you sign up, I'm sure you do, a link that will drop you there. But this is 6 hours worth of education, guys, 1.5 hours each class. So, oh, thank you, Fernando. He says, yes, we do. So I was certain Scott would make sure you got that. So be sure you sign up for that. It's incredible training. And by the end of those 4 days, you're going to have a real good grasp of the software. All right. Brokerage Plus, guys. We say introducing. We've been introducing this for a while. This is something we have to get right before we take it out of beta. So far, so good, but once again, it's still in beta. It's for more advanced traders. If you have strategies that you want to auto trade, you can do it with what's called our Brokerage Plus module, and you have to do it through Interactive Broker for right now. So, want more information, trade-ideas.com/beta. All right, the agenda for today. Market recap as always. Holly recap. Whoa, Jamie. Yeah, what a day for Holly. We seems like we're saying that a lot lately. It's
Well, no surprise, especially with the
mm,
action that we had today. It's just that when the market's choppy, and of course the other day we had crimson red. We went from dark red to dark green, right?
yeah.
So we're just in that phase where the market is kind of finding its feet, figuring out where it wants to go, sideways, back down to support. I mean, it's just kind of crazy right now. But today was a very, very strong day. Uh,
Yes, and I've been seeing more of that. Used to when if you had just a very slow and choppy day, Holly, well, she's artificial intelligence, which means she's learning. So, uh, she's obviously learning to do something because I've noticed some sloppy days where she's actually done very well lately. So that's encouraging.
Well, and because we look at the same patterns all the time. I mean, look at that closing. Look at that candle yesterday on the SPY on the daily. That
Hmm.
bottoming wick type formation, and then boom, gap it up and
Yeah,
go up. Everything's fine and dandy.
for sure. Yeah.
From one extreme to the other, but good stuff. I mean, when the market was down the other day, the AI it still fought and clawed, away. It's just that clearly today, you never like to use the term easy money, but when's the last time we saw the SPY do what it did and on higher than normal volume, right?
Yep.
Because here lately, it's the up days have been light volume, the down days have had big volume. Now we're seeing something different as we push to these upper extremes. I don't know. Sounds kind of
Yep.
bullish to me.
Yep. It does. It does. All right, guys. So we'll go over the Holly recap more, and Heidi, yeah, don't worry. There's no charts available right now. I'm going over the agenda, so I'll be pulling up a chart here in just a second. And then my parting gift for today is the Bull Flag Daily Setup. This is going to be a top list. I'm going to show you how you can use the change in daily percentage and also using a range percentage to kind of create a pattern where you're looking for like a move up and then a flag on a daily pattern. So yeah, I will share that with you, and that's going to be some fun stuff. So let's back out of this right now and let's get into the market recap and pull up a chart for Heidi. All right, Heidi, this is this is the SPY chart, and we're going to talk about what's going on in the. You're welcome. What's going on here in the market? All right, well, guys, we talked about this over and over. This what was resistance. Okay, we could not get through this level we broke down from. Tried there, couldn't even make it there. Finally, we poked through, backed up a little bit. Now we're through. Now we have a new range. Okay, this old range is gone, and now over the last about 3 weeks, we've been inside this new range in the spiders. And you can see this corresponds the upper end of that range to the January high, and of course the lower end is that what was support. I'm sorry, resistance is now support. So we'll see what happens. We had a little scare yesterday, and I remember getting down to this area, and I mentioned to the guys, yeah, well, this is the pivot level. Let's see if we hold. And sure enough, we had a nice bounce back, put in a hammer. And a lot of times in this market, when you have overnight news, a lot of times you'll get the gap up the next day, and that's what we got. Interesting. The volume went not too bad today, 1.44 relative volume, but I found it interesting, as strong as the SPY were, and really look at the diamonds. The diamonds were the big one today, up 1.66%, very strong today in the diamonds. Of course, look at the difference between that, Jamie. You talk about a tail and then the whole range covered in 2 days.
Oh
But
yeah, and
yeah.
just I don't mean to jump in here, Andy, but old Peter Brandt, I was brushing up on his Twitter stream the other day, and like the Dow is his favorite chart. I mean, because it's technically superior to all the others on the long term right now. So
Yeah.
interesting that you bring that up here. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's been a market, where when you have a pass the baton, because, look at our leader and what it did today, which has been the Qs, and look at there. barely up 0.33%. Nothing compared to one like what you see in the diamonds there. And of course, a lot of it can be, you look at Facebook today. That was ugly candle there. Netflix, I can keep bringing them up. They really the only one that was holding up was Apple, and it was pretty strong today for sure. As I mentioned, I made a comment to Steve the other day, man, or today, that Apple's holding up the world, it seems, because they're so heavily weighted, and they are in all three. They're in the Dow now, so yeah.
Well, when you make the electronic crack that everyone's addicted to, no big surprise. Hey,
Not
and
at
by
all.
the way, NVIDIA reported after the bell today. Did you see what the action that was going on there post-market?
I did not. Was it strong? I can see right here. Oh, it looks like it was down, huh?
Yeah, you might have to activate post-market.
Yeah, I can see it right there, the 248.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. We could go ahead and
And
give them a better look.
I think they beat. Did they beat earnings?
They're bouncing back now, but let's see. Take off pre-market here. Yeah, it looked like they. So I don't know. I did not see it. I was taking a break, I think, before my webinar here, or maybe put some content together.
Right, and
But
to tell
looks
you
like they're
off the top of
bouncing
my
back.
head, I don't know if they beat or did not beat. But it wouldn't be. We see this all the time. Both Andy and I can attest to this. The company beats earnings, and sometimes this happens, right?
Yeah.
Which is, therein lies the trick. If all we had to do was buy good earnings, it'd be easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, weak guidance. We had a attendee chime in there. Weak guidance, yeah. So you never know.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, I can. So anyway, guys, back to this. Spiders. I think this is your. Either what's going to happen here? Are we going to break down? I think it could. If we do break through this and close below this another time, especially if the Qs are not strong anymore, we could get weak. We'll see what happens. But yeah, of course, break out to all-time highs. We could, we could see some movement on that, but kind of just in no man's land really again. I mean, nothing real bearish. We are still, above our moving averages and still sloping from the lower left to the upper right. So, but it's been a market that's kind of, hasn't been, ripping the cover off the ball. That's for sure. It's just been kind of, hitting singles left and right. All right, before I pass the baton to Jamie for the kind of a thorough breakdown of some of the trades in Holiday, I want to point out that Holly 2.0 today had a really good risk on profit day. If you look here, it was up 3.76. I'm sorry, on risk off, and you look at risk on, look at the noise here in risk on, and it's usually just the opposite, but a real nice little trend in risk off today. That tells me, that's always a good sign to me, because it tells me the algos are working. Holly's learning, and she's getting out. She's better with her optimum holding time, her reduced risk, her profit save, whatever reason she's exiting. When I start seeing good risk off, profit, that's really encouraging to me. I know she's going to do well on risk on, as long as the market is, somewhat trending. Yeah, it's always encouraging for a nice risk off day. Now, Holly Neo, let's take a look at that real quick, because it did finish up strong, but I'm pretty sure that was risk on today. Yeah, risk on was up 505, and risk on still not bad, but much better in risk on mode and really, you may ask, why is that, Andy? Why aren't they all in sequence with each other and both? Well, you take a look at the day, look at the Dow, nice trend higher all day, really didn't pull back compared to the Qs. So if you had a strategy that had a lot of technology in it, or stocks that were in the NASDAQ, this is not that impressive. If you just look at the intraday, it opened up here and really, yeah, finished down on the day. So when you get a bifurcated market like we had today, that's going to throw off some of the risk on, risk off readings of Holly, just because not everything was working. Okay, thus we had a bifurcated market. And but anyway, so that was, I was really impressed with with 2.0 because that's strong. All you just taking every exit reason that Holly got out for, and that was a 3.76 days. So so very impressive. Jamie, if you are ready, you can take over and maybe dissect this even more.
No problem. Let me grab the mic here. You just let me know when you can see.
I got it.
All right, cool. All right, so just as Andy was pointing out the differences there, I'm currently pointed to Holly Neo right now. Risk off 78, 505, just like Andy was showing. But when we look at the market in general, because of course we're all looking back, hindsight's always 20/20, but there are certain things that are holding up over time as to adjusting our expectations, or trying to get a feel what direction the wind might be blowing. If it is blowing north, how strong is it blowing, all that good stuff, because hey, expectations are crucial in everything. So I just wanted to share real quick what my compare count readings were on the 15-minute compare count for the 4 billion plus market cap stocks here. Okay, so we can see, I think, let's see, hold on one second here. Andy, I think Kumaresh is asking for something. You might be able to give it
Yes.
to him.
Okay. Yes, I will do that. And before the webinar is over, I got to take some ones off that you will actually won't have the custom formulas for, but then I'll share it with you for sure.
Okay. So once again, compare count window looking for accelerated high volume buying, stocks hitting highs, versus accelerated volume on the downside, stocks hitting lows. And this is what the readings were 15 minutes after the open. And for those of you who are familiar with this window, you know that we don't see a 62% green bias in the first 15 minutes very often. Okay.
I'm sorry. Why am I saying Dumb and Dumber?
Oh, well, that was Jim Carrey doing something.
Jim. Yeah.
But we're not focusing on that. Here you go.
Okay, I know. It's just funny seeing his head keep bobbing.
I know. In any case, that's Jim Carrey not getting long today. And
yeah, there you go.
After he realized what the market did. But the bottom line is this. Wow. We always talk about once you get up to 55, ooh, that's something to pay attention to. We might have some follow through. Man, get over 55, 57, 58, even better. But man, once you get through 60 and maintain right here, ooh, I mean, let's take a peek here. Okay, so this is at the end of the first 15 minutes, and we're looking at 15-minute candles on the SPY here. So this being the opening candle, the little bird came and whispered in our ear right here and goes, hey, huge accelerated buying in the first 15 minutes. Once again, trying to kind of key in on what the institutions might be up to, because they get some stuff done there on their institutional orders in the first 15 minutes, and typically high volume is going to be a factor of that. It's always going to be an identifying marker. So in other words, boy, we sure tracked the institutions on the open and knew that they were buying heavily, and the way it works is they get a big chunk of that institutional buy order done, but they still have to slice and dice the rest of it, and that generally creates an uptrend in the stock. So nice nice expectations after the first 15 minutes, because we had plenty of time to feather our nest, so to speak, whether it was just going along the SPY or being aggressively long as the Hollies were today. So really good information just there in the first 15 minutes. And of course, if you glance over here at my toolbar, I think on the totals today, and I no thinking to it, I calculated and added everything up. Between the three Hollies, 13.08 points on a total of 85 signals or trades, you could call them. But what does that correlate into? 15 cents a share, right? So, I've been choosing to fold this into the presentation here lately because it's something that most people don't think about, but it really is what you should be thinking about from a running your business standpoint, right? Because trading is trading. We're all here not for philanthropic reasons. Sure, it's fun and we enjoy it. It's a lot more enjoyable if you're consistently making money though, right? So having said that, Holly is a statistical model. So the fact that today she averaged 15 cents a share, you might be going, well, what does that mean, right? Well, you know, if you have the right commission model, if you're one of these brokerages like Interactive Brokers, which is why we chose to implement Brokerage Plus there, gives people from all over the world access to a retail model. And, you know, depending on, I think, what is it there, Andy, $1 a share plus a little add-on.
Mm-hmm.
So the bottom line is you can get your commissions for, I don't know, a couple of pennies a share, or hopefully less, you know, especially at some of these boutique firms, you can even get under a penny. So if your commission cost is around a penny a share, just for talking purposes here, and you're watching a model that today averaged 15 cents a share, well, you don't have to be a math whiz to kind of see what's going on there, right? So anyway, 15 cents a share, you know, back in the trading office days, if you were making that, if you were averaging that, well, you were like one of the top dogs. I don't even think they got that high because we were a lot different back then. It was more transaction based, right, Andy? But even if you were averaging 2 or 3 cents a share on those same commission models today, hey, that's quite a handsome earning potential. So let's take a look at some of the statistical plays that Holly graced us with today. So let's just look at Holly Neo here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. So let's just take a snapshot. You know, don't want to be the guy that always shows the winners here. Of course, those are the interesting things. But look at the nice distribution on risk on here between winners and losers down here. Of course, there's always going to be losers, but it looks like she was doing a pretty good job at keeping the losers under control. And of course, up here, we've got the day's winners. Now let's talk about risk on. One at the top jumps off the page right off the bat because we look at risk off and we see some goose eggs in there. And we look at risk on and it's $1.52. And you're like, well, the AI, this is an AI, right? It's supposed to be smart. Why would it get out for a flat when, you know, the stock ended up going nicely here? Well, just to refresh everybody's memory here a little bit, if you had to pick something that Holly's the best at, it would be the statistically weighted strategies and entries that she gives us. That's where her magic comes in. Of course, it's not really magic. It's just good old-fashioned math and statistics. But the number crunching going on behind the scenes is insane, right? We could never hope to do it. So once again, man with machine, thus the title of our summit that's coming up that Andy pointed out earlier, Rise with the Machines, right? So this is pretty much where that's all stemming from, right? So first and foremost, a beautiful entry here right after these little bottoming candles. Blue line correlates with her entry price and the event, when the event fired and the price that triggered the event. So once again, we have a little sideways action, you know, throws us a little bit of a wiggle here down to maybe halfway down through the stop. But hey, that's why we have hard stops. In case we're wrong, that's where we get out. Now, as soon as Holly entered this one, it just kind of stalled and went sideways. But anybody that's been in the chair long enough knows that's not necessarily a bad thing. So Holly pulls the plug on a profit save. Now, other than, you know, timed holds, profit targets, and stop losses, why would we give Holly the ability to plug out of a winner or plug out of a loser early, right? And that's because you can't have a system of this nature being up X amount and then letting that amount dwindle back to zero, right? Wouldn't work, right? The timed exit had not hit, and the profit target or the stop loss, theoretically, it could be up 75 cents. By the time the timed hold expires, it's went back to flat or even gone down to a loser, right? So that is the exact reason why we enabled profit save and reduce risk, is to keep things, to keep profits from eroding. Having said that, it's a pretty simple algorithm doing that, right? Not near as complex as what Holly's doing to bring us to play in the first place. So some of the times, well, I wouldn't say some of the time, a lot of the time, by our chart reading skills, we can decide to stay in it and go risk on, right? And we can see clearly the difference working with the machine, as opposed to blindly trusting the machine and going, well, it's an AI, it's getting out, I better follow it, right? Using our chart reading skills here, we could have gleaned anywhere between 0 and $1.52. Doesn't matter if it's only a quarter, a nickel, or excuse me, a quarter, a half a point, 60 cents, anything in between here, right? It'd be like a guy in an office that's really, really good at entries. And funny thing is, Andy, we used to say this all the time. I'd be like, hey, I'm just going to make this entry. You handle the exit because I'll get out too soon, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same thing here. You know, how often are we comparing Holly to actual humans that we encountered in the trading business in the past, right? Sure. So it's the same methodology here. You know, man working with machine that's going to produce the best results currently. This one kind of jumps out as well. PS, once again, what do we have here? Nice little entry and then some sideways action. Once again, Holly pulls the plug on it for a profit save, takes her big 15 cents there, where with a little patience, and remember what we talked about the other day, patience is a form of action, right? It's deciding that the action is going to be to do nothing and let the trade work, right? Never even really gets below the entry line or the entry line. Never even throws us a glance at the stop loss here. So all we have to do is go, I'm going to stay with it, especially if it's a profit save or a reduced risk. A lot of the times, if the chart is intact, it's a good idea to stay in those things, unless the market is just really, you know, heading the other direction with some ferocity. But once again, 85 cents on the table on the PS trade between 15 cents and $1. Now, I thought I saw this one earlier, Andy. Let me see here. Why did she exit? Reduce risk. But let's see here. Reduce risk. Okay, once again, she peels out for a 15-cent loser. You know, right here, we get down here. Once again, stop never triggered, right? Because we went up here, we came back down close to it. So this is also a good thing to do whenever you have the time to do it. After that first hour gets over with, first hour and a half, whatever your busy period is. Of course, those first 2 hours seem like they pass in 30 minutes a lot of the time. But you're like noticing all of a sudden all these other Hollies have went nuts and popped out a bunch of trades too. It's always a very good idea to scan the trades that she's currently showing it down in, right? So imagine flurry gets over, 15-minute candles, about an hour or so into the market, hour and 15, and you come across this one, SM. You see she made the entry here. You saw this candle form. You saw this candle form. Maybe it starts to go back up, and you're like, never stopped out. I can get it below the price line. I can actually get a better price than Holly. Stick to my average. Stick to the established stop. Not only do you get a better price, that also translates into less risk, right? Better price, less risk. And in this case, plenty of time to, you know, to size it up and go, yeah, hasn't went yet, but it didn't stop out, and it looks like it might have some room. So I'm going to go ahead and take that trade, right? Because the common misconception is, well, I've got to jump into everything Holly is doing right now in real time, and that one's up 10 cents from the time that I saw the signal, so I'm not going to chase it, so forth and so on. You know, you can never do any harm trying to get those pullback fills. You'll get some of them you won't, and then some of them you'll see these guys show up, where it kind of goes down to the stop loss but doesn't trigger, gives you the opportunity to take a better price. That's what we call a trade around, ladies and gentlemen. Trade around versus going risk on. Risk on is just deciding to stay in the stock, trying to get a little bit more than Holly. Once again, classic example right here on this Autodesk. Funny thing is, Autodesk, they used to be in the trading space, Andy, I think. Let me see here. Oh no, this is a different one.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But there was another company with similar name, but this is not them. But in any case, once again, a great example of Holly more or less saying getting bored as she makes the entry here, and then it just kind of hovers around the entry line. Sometimes they hover around the entry line, and when they start putting on these little tight ranges right here, well then, you know, we all seen and done this before when, you know, buyers and sellers are just equal, but we've got extremely high probability, and we see Holly getting out here, and it's a pretty easy decision to make here, especially once this little pattern is formed, because we're like, okay, I see what's going on here. She's getting out because time is passing, but I think there might be more left in here. We could even, when you see these tight patterns form, you can even adjust your stop up as you play these range breaks that are just slowly staircasing up. These aren't there every day, but boy, when they do present themselves, it's a nice little added bonus, because it does give you additional time to add to a winning position, which for a lot of new people is one of the harder concepts to grasp, is leveraging and adding to a winning position. All right, Andy, I'm past the 2:30 mark, so I know you got some good stuff to cover there. So,
all right.
You got any other comments or anything that?
No, I think we covered it. Yeah. Let's see. Yes, Heidi. The one way to overcome, you know, taking those winners too soon is we say this over and over in here is to, you know, take half off. Take half off and just
yes.
put an alert in that's going to alert you if it comes down to a level, and just don't watch it. And sometimes that's the best thing to do. You know, take profits with half, and then just take it off your screen. What I used to do is I'd leave the trades on my blotter, but I would take the P&L off. So I would not see the trades down there, but I wouldn't know where they are. But that's fine, because I had alerts set. If they hit a certain area, I would go to that stock and manage it. So, but anyway,
I've failed to utter the phrase yet in this webinar, Andy, but at the risk of sounding like a broken record, that is the right way to go. Until you get really dialed in at managing your exits, which is really simply chart reading, you can do half and half. Do half with Holly, exit half the position with risk off, and then attempt risk on the second lot. I like to adjust my stop loss on that second lot to break even or just slightly below. That way you're locking in the profit on that first lot. If it does roll over on you, you still made money on the trade, but if it goes, you get the bonus risk on, risk off spread money. And of course, everybody's going to be a little bit more proficient, but that's all going to be tied to practice, right? Chair time, practice, getting familiar with the routine. It's quite simple once you get used to it.
For sure.
All right, Andy. So let me kick it back over to you.
All right.
Should have it.
I got it. All right, guys. You got it. You can see me?
Correct, Andy. You're all good.
Okay. All right. All right, guys. So I get this a lot. You know, people wanting to find bull flag patterns, and they're tough. They're tough to do. Just because if you want to try to squeeze the pattern in to be just perfect, you're going to eliminate so many, because what you're doing is you're squeezing in the range of a stock over a certain time period. So if you squeeze it in too much, obviously you're going to eliminate many of your patterns that are still very sweet. And you'll see what I'm talking about right here, just with the parameters that I'm using. But I always talk about, if you vision a chart in your head, and you can pretty much build it using our technology. And I'm going to give you an example of that today. So, for example, this, I don't have to tell you guys, look, this sprint right here is just a beautiful pattern. Okay, what you've had is you've had an up move, even though it was associated with volume. I'm not requiring it for it to be associated with volume in this thing, but you've had a nice up move, and then you have a kind of a flag pattern setting up. You know, a stock is forming a bull flag, and Sprint is a great example. It's probably the best example I could find. And you can see it's in this top list that I've created. So I'm sitting here looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, how can I show a stock that has moved up, a certain percentage, and then it is trading, because let's face it, a flag is basically a stock trading in a range over a period of time. So what I wanted to do here is show the movement and then create the range. All right, so we're going to dive in and dissect this a little bit, so you can learn also how to do this. And I've had a much tougher time building this on the intraday. They're harder. I got one in the works, but I'm telling you right now, intraday it's tough. But you can use some other time frames. Let me show you what I've done with this one. Let's take a look at the configuration. Come on. All right. So the main things I want to focus on here are, where is it? Okay, first I want to do this in order here. Okay. Change in 10 days. Okay. So basically I have a minimum of 3. I put a 3 in here. Change in 10 days percentage. Let's take a look at our show me button to see what this is searching for. The price was at least up 3% from 10 days ago. Okay, so I'm looking for some sort of movement in the last 10 days by putting a minimum of 3% in the minimum column. So now I know I have a stock that has at least gone up 3% in the last 10 days. That's good. We want stocks that are, when they're forming this flag pattern, we want them after a move. And we don't want something that's just kind of in no man's land forming it. So there's our move right there. We know it has to be up 10 days in the last, 3% in the last 10 days. All right, so what am I going to use to create the range? All right, so I can't use a change in 5 days. So what I've done here was, let me find it, 5-day range. Okay, I have a minimum of 1%, a maximum of 3%. So let's take a look at our show me button. Learn to use this show me button. It really helps. The 5-day range is between 1 and 3%. Okay, so in other words, I didn't want something to drop way out of that range to the downside and then come back up. Okay, I wanted a pretty tight range. Okay, so we know the 5-day range is between 1 and 3%. Okay, so that's a pretty tight range for 5 days. Okay, so let's see what else I've done. I've thrown in a change from the close. I want the stock up on the day. I want the price between $5 and $200. Oh, look here, change in 5 days. Another one, percentage, just like the change in 10 days. Okay, so what have I done here? Up here, I had 5-day range, 1 and 3%, but look here in my change in 5 days. The stock was down from 5 days ago, the price was flat from 5 days ago, or the price was up no more than 1% over the 5 days. So in other words, I want to catch it pretty quick out of this flag and not be chasing it. All right, so I'm putting a maximum on how much the price was up no more than 1% from 5 days ago. Okay, that's different from the range. It can range, but at the time I don't want it above 1%. So I know this is kind of convoluted. Don't worry, you're going to get a copy of this so you can actually dissect it more. Volume, the daily volume, 300,000 shares. I'm just looking for stuff that's kind of tradable. And of course, the EPS formula that all this does for you guys that are new is it's a hack that eliminates any ETFs by just putting this formula in here. You won't get the VIX and things like that coming through. All right, so that's about it. Now let's take a look at some of the charts. I showed you Sprint. That's pretty sweet. Let's take a look here at the top. ADM. Okay, some of these are not going to look as sweet as Sprint, but nonetheless, they're meeting all the parameters. It's been up at least 3% over the last 10 days, and they are ranging. Allstate, I think that was a pretty good one coming into today. You can see the movement, and even though this is probably a little more than dropped than some people would like, you know what? This probably came through yesterday too. We can go check. Let's do that right now. I want to see this. Let's go to use historical date. Let's go to yesterday, see which ones were holding up in that market. Let's go to yesterday at around, let's go to 9 a.m. This is the kind of stuff you really need to do when you're playing around. Just don't, take a look at other days. There it is. Allstate was coming through yesterday. So in a down market, you would have seen Allstate, right here yesterday morning, 98, 88. Oh, Fernando, yeah, the composite rating, you're not going to have access to that yet. I'm sorry. This is something that I created with Michael Noss here recently. We just created this huge custom formula. It's like so big. It's like a mad scientist formula. Anyway, you're going to have access. We're going to make it a filter for you guys. We're not sharing the custom formula. It's going to be proprietary. Okay, it's our composite rating that factors in tons of technical information and also has some fundamental data in it to it as well. It's sweet. You guys will probably have access to it in a couple of weeks. All right, so Allstate was coming through yesterday, so you would have got tipped off on this yesterday, just like I thought. Just by looking at the pattern, I was able to pretty much determine that thing would have came through yesterday, even though it was today. Store, beautiful one right here, guys. Remember, this came through yesterday morning, 28.53. It hasn't gone a whole lot, but still a very good pattern. You've had a move higher in the last 10 days, followed by sideways flagging action, and you got a nice little top list to show you, hey, this was happening. HTA, that was a nice one yesterday, 28.50. You would have caught it probably. I did this at 9 o'clock. This probably would have been showing up earlier if I would have put it in at like 8:40 or something like that. I'm not going to do that. You just have to trust me. HRL, we saw that one. See, look at there's another beautiful one. Move up, flagging. There, you caught it yesterday. Volume came out. So you're going to be able to find some sweet things in here, guys. You can just tell by looking at these stocks that we're holding up yesterday, and there's another good one. Now, they're not, I didn't put any daily parameters. Like, I don't need these things to be trading at all time, near 52-week highs or not even near 3-month highs. I'm just looking for movement over the last 10 days and then a flagging pattern. So if you don't want to see stocks like that, you can always come in here and put in like a 52-week range filter if you want to find stocks, trading near their, 52-week highs. That's up to you. This is a beautiful one right here. Look at that. Move, and then there's your nice little pennant, little flag there, and then boom. Yesterday was a nice move. Today was kind of nasty at the opening. I'm not sure what that was all about, or it wasn't earnings. That was just ugly. All right, so let's put it back on live during market hours. You want to keep these live during market hours, and the reason you want to do that, thank you, Waleed, I appreciate it. The reason you want to do this, guys, is because this can become a scanner for you. Like if you get home in the evenings at nighttime, you want to start looking for opportunity for the next day. If you keep these things on live during market hours, what will happen is at the close, these will freeze in here for you like they've done for me. So you can find stocks, that are flagging for you. There's one right here. Another one I thought was beautiful was NSC. That one's getting ready right there. Look at that. Just, you had your up move, but boy, it barely made the 3%. Let's see. Change in the last 5 days, change in 10 days, 3.3%. So yeah, it barely got that 3%, but nonetheless, still doing a nice little flagging pattern over the last 5 days there. Hewlett Packard, there's another one. Keep an eye on. So you're seeing one after another. That sprint's pretty juicy right there. To just see that 10-period moving average on the daily, look at that, just catch it right there and catch it right there and hoist it higher. Now, you would have seen this earlier today too, because you could have got a head start, but nonetheless. Now, here's the thing, guys. When it comes to patterns, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. And thank you, Kamaresh. Thank you for all your kind words out there. Here's the thing. When it comes to patterns, I think it's best to build a top list and then use your price alerts that come with our software. So you can just put in price alerts wherever you want to put them. If it takes out this high, RF, you can use your price alert. If it takes out an all-time high, you can just stick it up there. The reason I say, because I I tried to like drop this into an A window and back test it today, early this morning. I probably spent an hour and a half back testing trying. It's hard to do. The reason it is because you're asking to be signaled on a pattern that's developing. Okay, so you're using maybe a new high, so it's not really it's not really fully developed yet. So you can play around with it. You can take this and turn it into an A window and use a new high. But I'm telling you guys, it's tough to do because I like to, when it comes to patterns, I'd rather just kind of use my own eye and my expertise, and then come in and put alerts where I want to be alerted. Price alerts in there, and just save them, and there you go. Now I'll be alerted when it goes through my point in SC, goes through this high right here. I want to be alerted. So that's probably the best way to trade these things, and try to, instead of maybe trying to put them in an A window and then back test it over and over, because you're going to find it's hard. I mean, these could be very powerful alerts, or patterns, I should say, but you just don't know when they're going to take off. You can get fooled a lot, head fakes before they actually, move. And then you want to look for volume and things like that. So I think it's best to build like a little top list, and then, you can look at the relative volume as it's coming through. This ADM had some decent relative volume today, had a nice move this morning. But you're right, I have a composite rating in here, guys. You will not see that. So what you'll have to do, just take that. You can leave that column in there. It's just going to be blank. I'm not even, since you don't have the name in there, I'm not sure what it'll do, but just take it out if it's in there until you are able to use the composite rating. But this will come in handy. In other words, if you're looking for strong composite rating scores, snaps is a 92. So you can look here, you can see it's near a lifetime high, position in your range. I'm trying to figure out how it could be closer to a lifetime than a position in your range, but I'm kind of, let me see if that's 98.35 in the lifetime. 92, yeah, that has me befuddled right there. I'm not sure how that could happen. Oh, there's another pretty one. And some of these may be slow movers too. You can see right here, it didn't, it had a nice move right here. Stocks have a tendency to develop personalities, and if you see something like this where it had a nice pattern and it had one day and then fell back, this may just be one of those, creepers, just creep higher with the market. But anyway, guys, I am going to share with you. There's no custom formulas you need for this, other than you won't have access to the composite rating, of course, but what I'm going to do is share that. And for those of you who are in here that may be kicking the tire for the first time, what I'm able to do, and what we're all able to do here at Trade Ideas, if you want to share an alert with somebody, we have cloud links. You can just pass over to them. So I'm going to save or share to cloud, save and share, and copy all. And then what I do, I'm going to drop it into the chat room here. I'll call it Bull Flag Daily. And drop that code in there, and everybody who's a subscriber now can grab that, and they'll have access to this alert. I'm sorry, top list. But yeah, I'm going to be paying. I just created this morning, guys, so I'm going to be paying attention to that one, because I'm seeing some really nice setups in there, and I will try to work. It's boy, I tell you, the intradays are tough. The intradays are tough. I got one in the works, and I'll try to build on that and maybe share something for an intraday. But I thought this one came out pretty good as far as a daily pattern goes. All right, so that's about it. Let's see. Is this available to end of day users also? Yes, that's what's Heidi. That's what's great about top lists when you have them set to time frame live during market hours. So what's happened? See, these things have been frozen in here like this since the close of the day. So I can come back at midnight and it's still going to look the same, because they freeze when the market closes. You can get up early in the morning and do the same thing. And if I had it on live always, it probably wouldn't work in pre-market, because some of those filters are percentages that don't. Our data does not look at pre-market and post-market, because it throws off the live trading days. So this is definitely one you want to keep on live during market hours. And yeah, this is a great way to, you know, to find things you like, put in price alerts. Heck, if you're working, you could even put in buy stops, you know. So in other words, you want to buy Sprint, maybe you come in here and wherever you'd want to buy it at this high right here, just put in a, instead of putting in a price alert, go to your broker and put in a price, put in a buy stop right there. So it will fire automatically, but do it with a limit though, because you will get screwed if you do it with the market. I've learned that. Not sure what happened right here, and after hours kind of sold off a little bit there though. Let's see if they had, make sure they didn't have earnings. Nope, I had it 10 days ago. Yep, that was earnings. Is there a filter for trend line break? No. Good. That's a great question, and you know, it's probably something that's not going to be coming out anytime soon. That's going to take some major development.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I saw this question. I'm like, well, they'd have to, the trend lines would have to be drawn in real time as the whatever time frame you're looking at progress. But interesting idea.
I've thought about that too. All right. Yes, I'm going to share my layout. I sure will. In just a second here. I am looking for a consolidation pattern with a trend line. Yeah, that's a tough one because you know you're looking at several months worth of data, and it's not straight line data. It's just data that's, you know, you have to have a pretty sophisticated algorithm to find you know, to find those trend lines. But maybe in the future we'll hold our breath. All right. And Kumaresh, he wants me to, let's do this. I'm going to pull this over here. So I'll actually, this will come with the, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my entire layout. Now, if you do not have our Channel 4 document page, because what I have here is a sector analysis, okay, and it has a symbol list in it. And you're going to need this symbol list if you want to watch our sector analysis. And by the way, guys, I put together, next week I'm going to share with you a global market watcher where I've gotten all the iShares into a top list, so you can like keep an eye on the world markets if you want. You're going to have a symbol list with this. So ask, if you don't have the symbol list, hit us up at info@trade-ideas.com. Scott will show you this again at the end of our webinar here. Hit us up and ask for the Channel 4 document page, and because that's going to have everything on. It's going to have a description of all the Channel 4s, and it's also going to have the symbol list in here for you. Everything else you should have access to. There may be a couple of other windows I have on my other monitor that you're also going to receive. They may be stacked on top of each other, so be sure you look under Windows. But I will share this with you.
Yeah, and Andy, we just had a message. I'm driving. How can I get a copy of the new top list? And of course, I responded in the questions panel, but obviously, if the individual is driving, they're probably not going to be looking. But what we'll say, Greg, is just info@trade-ideas.com whenever you get to a safe location, and we'll give you that cloud link.
And for some reason, it's not letting me do this. It does this every now and then. I don't think. Let me take out this, delete this layout. Delete that layout. Oh my gosh, I hope I didn't delete the, oh gosh. Okay, no, I didn't. Let me delete that layout. It might not let me do it. I may have to email it to you. It's a little bug, and I'm on a developmental version, and for some reason this happens every now and then, guys, and I'm not sure what it is. It happened to Steve the other day too. Dang. Yeah, it's I don't know why it's saying it's too big. It's not. It's a bug because it just worked for me yesterday in my 301 class. I was able to show them how to save it. So I'm not sure what's going on here, guys. So, but I will, for those of you who want it, Kumaresh, if you just send me an email at andy@trade-ideas.com, and I will get this bug worked out and get you a copy of it. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's just a little bug that we have in our developmental versions. But all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you, Waleed. I appreciate the kind words, and everyone else, thank you. And I'm going to bring Scott back in. You guys hang on. He's going to offer you out a little discount.
All right, thanks. A couple items on the way out. We have an ebook. Make sure you've got that. Trade-ideas.com/ebook. Andy and Jamie contributed chapters. It has 5 essential strategies for a rocky market. Make sure you got it. Just plug your email address into that landing page, trade-ideas.com/ebook, and you'll get a download link to your email. We've got a podcast coming out weekly. We'll have a new one out tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. To make sure you're ready for it, search for Trade Ideas Podcast and subscribe. Just use search for Trade Ideas Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and there you go. We have a code that'll give you a discount. Hot Summer, all caps, is how you need to use it. You can I also use it for an upgrade. Saves 15% off your first month or year of a new subscription or an upgrade, so go ahead and do that. All right. Any questions, email us, info@trade-ideas.com. You can follow Jamie on Twitter at QuantBot. Steve Gomez is at Today Trader. Info@tradeIdeas.com is a place to send your questions. Also, go to facebook.com/TradeIdeasPro and like our page so that you can see some of the other announcements we make there and share that with your friends. Thanks all. Thanks, Andy and Jamie. Later.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.